I'm doing this video on time travel. I want to give my explanation of what's happening with the essence of Albert Einstein's ideas of time travel. My video starts out with explaining that to Einstein everything was relative. If you put it in that perspective, everything is connected to everything else. The planets are connected to other planets. This goes into like Newton's theory, except in Newton's theory, everything they repel because they're similar matters. So all the planets in the relative Einstein theory are connected. The solar system's connected to the other stars in the galaxy, and so forth. The galaxies are connected to each other in the galaxies, in the universe. Now you take this and his ideas about time travel, or what people perceive to be time travel, that he talks about in special relativity. With that in mind, he launches a ship in space. Coming close to the speed of light, everything seems to shrink behind him. As he gets closer to the speed of light, time in his ship becomes less than time, regular local time with the planets and stars. So his ship drags, if everything's connected, his ship drags the planets and makes them turn. And since the planets and stars are rotating backwards in the universe, they slow their rotation and they eventually stop, but they start slowing down. That's his theory. To make it simple, his ship is a magnet, and it's more powerful than all the relative stars, planets, and galaxies. And that's his time travel. Everything is relative. Now, to go into it a little further, we have, or he has in relativity, slow dragging, which I just explained. When the ship, the faster it goes, the slower the planets rotate. The slower the solar system orbits. They slow down. So in essence, time slows down in relativity. I don't know how many scientists believe this to be a factual truth, but it's classical physics. It's there. The reality is, if you look at reading some of my videos, I'm always talking about the reality of relativity, or the unreality of relativity. There's no connection between a moving ship and the planets. No matter how fast you go. Is there a speed limit? A universal speed limit, which Einstein collectively says is the speed of light. The speed of light was chosen because, as a measurement, because it has no mass. And if it has no mass, there's no connecting energies that would cause it to slow down. Now, it's made that way. But everything else has energy and is affected by everything else except light. So light is is universal constant. But what I think he neglected to realize is that's only light. He said it himself. Everything else has energy which is affected by everything else that exists. And the only other element that exists with a zero mass is space. Space itself has a zero mass. There's no detection in midfield space. Newton's theory shows this as similar masses repelling each other, like a positive pole and a positive pole. They don't attract. One has to be positive and one has to be negative. So all matter is made up of some sort of positive energy. Now, at one time, I think he wanted to connect this with electricity, but I've been studying this stuff for like 15, 20 years, and actually relativity, and I don't know what his exact statements are about that. But in reality, everything is relative but light. Our ship is made of positive matter, but our ship is traveling in empty space. And the space that Einstein talks about is gravity. His theory on gravity that space is flat. That's space gravity now. Or the universe is flat, and it has a surface. It's made up of a fabric, and like a boat, it travels around on top of this fabric. But a planet gravity is energy. It's the effect of moving objects that aren't tied down by like a mountain or something, or a rock on a mountain. They're tied down. And we have a gravity force that when something is in motion, it is affected by gravity, which makes it fall back to the ground. But it makes it have the ability to leave the ground behind a force, like jumping. You jump up and you come back down. Even on the moon, you jump up, but the only thing about the moon is you go around 15 feet before you come back down, and the difference is about 8 meters a second, if you want to put it that way. So Earth gravity is what, 11? It equals 11 or 9.8 meters a second. Meters a second, where the moon is like 2 meters a second, which means that we have the other 98% ability to have momentum as we are moving vessels, or like a car. We jump, people jump, airplane. But when you get in space, it's different. It's so big. It's not a surface. It's three-dimensional. We are inside of it. And we float. Einstein's idea that we float is the universe itself. The idea that like early in the early universe, everything was hot and molded, and primary to its cooling off, elusive matter was created and it floated to the top, and that's where the surface is. That's Einstein's idea. But I don't think it worked that way. It works that way. And if you look at some of my videos, I got a lot of good videos on what's called space expanse gravity, or expanse vacuum gravity. I have a lot of videos on it, and it explains space and the flowing of time and the separation between space and time. Now, Einstein says they're both preserved together and everything is relative. But what that means is that's based on the speed of light, which he says is constant. It's not constant. The universe is not constant. In 1925, or when Hubble discovered, it was expanding. It was getting bigger and bigger. So there's room for velocity for a ship to travel faster than the speed of light. In Einstein's theory, a ship seems to have the ability to slow down all the planets as it goes through space. Do you understand that? Anyways, I'll give a good explanation of space expanse, not universe expanse. Universe expanse is different. It's the idea that the galaxies are moving away from each other due to some kind of force. The force that creates the mobility of all the galaxies and all the planets involved inside these galaxies is the Hubble balloon or sphere. I call it a sphere that seems to be getting bigger and accelerating the space around it. See, the space around this sphere is like a river and going through all the galaxies and sinking inside the galaxies and making all the planets in there spin as well. You know, it's the force of his anomaly that is expanding. And my ideas and theory, it's the same thing, but it's space that is creating mobility of all the stars and things. We can call it motion. And that's what gives everything momentum. That spin. We can't feel it, but the Earth is rotating, you know. And by the second, it's measured by 18.6 miles a second, you know, until it makes in one day one revolution. Or one day. Was it? Anyways, this is what happens when you do a lot of research. You gotta go back and think things out, which is not, you know. Anyways, that's Einstein's perspective about time, you know, and light seems to be the key element. They're trying to make negative energy. See, when matter energy is excited, it can be excited with light. And when it's excited with light, it gives off a negative energy. And if you're in a ship and you can make the ship somehow reflect light and create this excitation, you would have negative energy, which means that it's like anti-gravity. On Earth, it would be anti-gravity. In space, it means you wouldn't be affected by anything in the same way the light is. You have zero mass. Now, that's their ideas, but see, space already has zero mass. It isn't a mass, it's some sort of element. And So a ship traveling that can press a button and generate enough light, let's say, to excite all the molecules of the ship and create a negative flow of energy, which is in the Alcapre warp drive theory, it would probably have no limit of velocity. So they say. But to do that is something else, you know. It's like bending space. Now, Superman could bend steel with his bare hands, but I don't think you can bend space. You can't even. Space is a vacuum. How can you grab hold of it and you can't even touch it? It's just there. And it's 0 point, which means it's already reached that point of no segression. So, in evidence, space is pushed with a repulsive force, causing it to make the galaxies all around it, billions and billions of galaxies, maintain a path. And they're different sizes, and so they rotate in different time frames. But according to Einstein, the time frame is the same everywhere, and it's just the opposite where the planets are different sizes, and they do maintain different time frames. Kind of contradicting that. But anyways, a lot is said. I don't know why Einstein went into past and future type space travel fairy tales. They're like fairy tales. It's like making a child understand what you're talking about when you're talking about something that is very complicated, you know. And then you would say, well, it's like making a cake. Oh, okay, yeah. But anyways, in essence, his GRT, his theory, I think he was small in mathematics. He didn't know a lot of mathematics. E equals mc squared came from P equals mc squared, which was formerly named properties, and I use, I don't actually use it, but P in propulsion in the same way that Einstein put equals m squared, or equals mc squared. He also made another equation, E equals mv squared, which means velocity. But he never talked about velocity, except for the speed of light, which he claimed to be constant. Nothing can go faster than the speed of light. Like I just explained, the repulsive push force of the universe itself, the one that pushing galaxies. See, all the planets and stars and solar systems are inside these galaxies. That's where we live, in this galaxy called the Milky Way. And the repulsive force is what keeps us moving. The stars, the galaxies rotating, moving, because like a river, this anomaly that we reside outside the surface of this anomaly is pushing everything and creating a flow of space that makes us orbit, makes everything, the galaxies most, put them in mobility, make them rotate, have an orbit. And it expands at a constant. And because there's momentum, which is another thing that relativity doesn't talk about, where Einstein said everything's relative and acts on everything else, and the speed of light is the limit, and it's constant. Since we have mobility in the galaxies, we are moving faster than the speed of light. Nothing can travel. Imagine everything in a bubble universe, all moving at the same specific rate. Nothing changes. Some are small, some are big, and they move a little faster and a little slower and stuff like that. And you have a limit for the speed of light. What you call the universal constant, or Einstein called the universal constant. So anything that's going to upset that is showing proof that in expansion, that push force that is changing things, that's the evidence. That the idea that you put two galaxies together, or 10 of them, and you measure in between two of them, they're moving away from each other, which is a repulsive type force, and only at 43 miles a second. That doesn't seem like a lot, but you take that 43 miles a second relative to the speed of light, Einstein's format, you have a lot of energy or pressure that is manipulating space. It can't just be light. It has to be a physical property, and light is not a physical property because it has no mass. You can see it. You know where it comes from, but it has no mass. And the vacuum has no mass. So any interruption would be expanse, which is faster than light. And if you can correlate the pressure, then you have a new speed limit. It correlates with how much force is creating the expansion. The same way Einstein took the speed of light and said it's the fastest thing we know that exists. And that's classical physics. Some people call it modern physics, but it's classical. Anyways, I wanted to explain a little bit about that, It's not that Einstein, they thought it was the greatest thing in the world, but only 5 people in the whole world actually comprehended what he was talking about, could comprehend his scientific theory. And it took me a long time to start figuring some of this out. It's kind of simple towards the end. And then I went and looked at the Hubble universe, Expanse, and correlated a greater speed limit, 450,000 miles/second approximately. And the only thing is, as this anomaly gets greater and greater, that force changes. That's why we have what's called the runaway universe. It's continually at a constant, creating more pressure in the universe. And when we look out into the vacuum of empty space, past the anomaly surface and all the galaxies that surround it like a beehive, how much space is out there and how much push or how big this anomaly gets predicts and explains the reality of our universe. And I don't think we'll ever go there because we can't measure it, much less see it or what it's made of. But I did write a book that shows that the aspects. See, a lot of people think we live in a black hole and everything is stuck in this black hole, and we're stuck at the speed of light, and we're in a bubble inside a black hole. But like I said, in Expanse theory, the galaxy is set outside this Hubble balloon, this anomaly, and we sit outside black holes that we have evidence of. We are outside and we're not inside, and we're outside of them. So I did write a book on that. The universe should have a vortex, but does not. The universe should have a black hole, but it doesn't. We have an anomaly, and if you go back into the beginning, point zero or time equals zero, how this anomaly was formed, I give an explanation. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But the way things are going and the way we seem to preserve our knowledge about our universe, it's probable. So, I want to get out this video. My name is Rod Kowicki. Check out my books. I got a lot of them. Amazon, I guess. Yeah, Amazon. I'm going to come out with a big one, about 500 pages, 600 pages in the near future. My name is Rod Kowicki. Thank you.